Hey guys, Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People. We have an interview coming up here with Ted Hazard. He's been on the show before, so if you want to go back and check previous episodes, it is on there. We sit down, we talk about his new cartoon coming out called Spare Change, and we talk about some of his other cartoons and how he got into it and animation and all that really fun, cool stuff. And then we talk about the new record, which is really good. It's on Spotify, Bandcamp. I learned about Bandcamp on this episode. So Bandcamp is a way you can go on and support musicians. It's just an app you can do, or you can go online. But the new album is called Martial Law, so it's MARSHALLLAW. It's his new single album. We're actually going to change up the intro music just for this episode, and we're going to use his new album music. So the first song you're going to hear is called I Believe I Can Die, and then it's going to end with his song Super 8 Toledo, Ohio. So yeah, this is the interview. I hope you guys really enjoy it. It was a really fun time to hang out with him and sit down and talk about the album. He's a really good dude, and he's also in a few different projects that we'll talk about here. Condition Oakland, Charles Manson Dance Party, and I hope that's it. Or Dance Academy. I think it's Dance Academy. I'm sorry if I mess that up. I do apologize. But yeah, this is a quick little intro. We're going to do these now. All interviews from here on out are going to be audio only. So there's going to be no more video because with this whole pandemic thing going on, and I think it's just easier to sometimes do these over the phone. So you may have a little interference with phones. We're going to try to work that out the best we can, but just be patient with us. And once again, you can always support our merch page over at IwEP Network on Facebook, and then there's a Shop Now button, or you can head over to Interviews with Everyday People. They have a page as well as Instagram as IwEP Network. If these is on YouTube, but YouTube doesn't support us really when it comes to creating, so we don't get any profit. But if you listen to the audio only, the anchor commercial you heard in the very beginning, that helps us make some money to help fund the podcast. So if that's something you're looking to do, we do have those merch pages. You can do so, or we have a donation page as well. All the links are below, or you can go over, like I said, on the Facebook page and check all that out as well. All right, here's the intro music for the song. The intro music for today's episode. The song, I Believe I Can Die.
I wish I had a reason to go on with life. I wish I didn't have a reason to end it with a knife. All of the little things leave me a little bored. All the negativity seems to be underscored. Creative coping mechanisms can't erase your past. I used to be an alcoholic, in case you have to ask. I just can't find the urge to walk to my front door. So I ain't leaving this car anymore.
Hey everyone, Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People. This is going to be a little surprise, little bonus episode we're going to drop on you guys because of the whole, the Bud Light virus, the coronavirus, or what is it, the Miller Lite? I don't know. I can't keep track of all the beers now. We've been doing. This is my first over the phone interview. So Ted reached out to me and he's like, man, I want to do something again. This is, I think, your third appearance now. If this is like comic book canon. Always a good time when you're here hanging out. So yeah, we're gonna have Ted on. We're gonna talk about the new record, the new cartoon that he has going on, and probably shoot the shit with some other stuff in between there. But yeah, Ted, do you want to give everyone a what's up?
Yeah, I'm Ted Hazard. Musician / cartoonist extraordinaire.
A videographer. You used to do a lot
stuff.
Make a lot of videos.
Yes, videographer. Yeah, I'm still doing some of that too every now and then. It's just with working on the new cartoon and the record. It's like I'm learning how to not do everything at once and how to focus on one or two things at a time.
Yeah. I think the first time we had you on the show, if you do want to go back and watch the older episode, you're more than welcome to. I don't remember if that was when my quality was terrible or not, so if you do go back, don't judge me. But yeah, at that point in time, it seemed like you were very, not, I don't want to say rushing, but you were definitely trying to put a lot on your plate at one time, and I think even in personal conversations, it sounded like you were kind of running yourself ragged for a moment there because you were trying to get so much done at one time, and yeah. So
absolutely,
you've learned to balance that situation out a little better.
Yeah, I think that was last summer, and last summer I was working on 2 different music videos, a full-time job, and I think I don't remember. Oh yeah, I had the new band, and I was still in Condition Oakland. Well, I'm still in Condition Oakland. I don't know why I said it like that, but
He quit.
and I was doing
Breaking
like
news.
4 different web comics.
Yeah.
Four different web comics at once.
I believe the
now
music.
now I'm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. Just you go. I was done.
Oh, the video you were working on, the music video, was an animated music video.
Yes.
Yeah, that one was really, really good. I don't remember the song, but the artwork to it was awesome. It was kind of like, it reminded me like Ghosts and Mario and Bowser and the Princess's Castle and stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think subconsciously I kind of accidentally did that. Like, I didn't plan on it. I just kind of came up with this, like, because the song was called Candy Hearts and Razor Blades, and I'm like, it'd be a really cool idea if we did something with like moving candy hearts, and then I'm like, oh, and then she could be like the queen, and then like there's a ghost for some reason, and it has to go rescue. I don't know where the ghost came from. Oh, because because Kevo was singing about haunted houses. I was like, oh, and he lives in a haunted house and all that. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then go rescue her at a castle. And then I think like halfway through, my girlfriend Katie actually was like, oh, it's kind of like Super Mario. And I'm like, no, it's. And then I'm like, it kind of is.
It's not Super Mario because.
But
fuck you, it's Super Mario.
But we went through with it. But the cool thing about that was actually that music video. Like, a lot of people say that it's probably like the best one I put out, just like quality of the animation, and it won like awards and stuff. But like doing that actually kind of pushed me to want to kind of work on this new project. So that, because I the new cartoon compared to Crustoons, it's a completely different style.
Yeah.
But you could still tell it's something I did.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Now, I do read the comics, but the only problem with me is like, it's not that I don't want to like this to sound like I don't enjoy them or I'm not a fan, but I guess because I was late to the party, it like if this is something you've been into for I guess the beginning, you get a lot more the character's humor and stuff, where I haven't been reading since the beginning. I just kind of, it's kind of like it's a Sunday strip where there's definitely a lot of character development there. So there's like some of the stuff I kind of miss because I don't understand the characters yet, but I have to go back and kind of go from the beginning and go that route. But I do think like even like some of them, like I think they'd be cool if they were like how you're doing this new animation. If like maybe you could, they're gonna kind of if you did that as well with some of your other ones, is maybe kind of animate them, because I think the character stuff is funny, and I like the art style. I'm a big fan of your art style.
Thanks. Yeah, well, we actually, I did 3 seasons of Crustoons. I did 1 season of Wine and Dine. I was trying to get a 2nd season done, but then I got into doing the films and the music videos, so that never really happened. And then I actually did 2 episodes of WrestleMania, which that was pretty cool. It was just, again, it was like I was working on music videos and stuff at the time, so it was like I was like, I could probably do 1 a week, and then it was like 1 a month, and then it was like I can't do this because I was working on like 2 other music video, or not 2 other comics at the time too. So it was like, and then I was working on Ignorance is Bliss. Now that's one I wouldn't mind doing as an animated series at some point, but like right now I kind of want to focus on the new one.
Yeah. The wrestling
then,
one, man. You have enough content on a weekly basis to to drive that all over because that one, man, wrestling is everywhere now. It's every week you can watch, like every single day of the week you can watch pro wrestling. And then you go online. The online community is the worst when it comes to wrestling now, because people are like, I hate AEW and WWE. I love AEW and WWE sucks. I'm like, all your champions are former WWE guys.
People don't get that. They don't get that. Like even with all these people on like whatculture.com and Wrestle Talk, they're all, oh, well, Vince this and Vince that, and then like they start like completely praising everything he does. Yeah. Like, I don't get people like that. It's like when people like go on like a music video I did on YouTube and like they leave a negative comment. It's like, what are you doing you know?
Yes. Yeah, that's my
It's
favorite.
like you're completely shitting on something creative that somebody put so much time into, but the only thing creative that you've ever done was sit at a keyboard and call somebody a noob.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
isn't even that creative.
Yeah,
But
I've never
speaking
really
of-
get negative comments. I mean, every now and then someone's like, "You talk too much. Let your guest talk." I get that sometimes, and that's justifiable. I'll take that. But like, I have like, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's, I get one guy who goes, it might not even be a guy, it might be a girl. I'm discriminating. I get one person who goes to every single one of my videos and and hits thumbs down on them. So every video has
No,
a thumbs down. And I was just like, yes. Like
I've had somebody like that on my stuff too, that every single video I put out, every single cartoon or music video, one thumbs down, and it's just because it's somebody that's very spiteful about me
yeah.
for some reason.
I
don't really care.
I want to
I mean,
know
I'm still
who,
gonna do it.
I'm curious of who the person is, just to like. I think it's funny that they're like, oh, I gotta log in real quick. I gotta jump over to YouTube. He uploaded 3 new videos, and gotta make sure I get those thumbs downs in there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think to me it's hilarious.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Yeah, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
hold on, I gotta stop what I'm doing today. I gotta log in. Now listen, if they're
some people
yeah, I'm
get
sorry.
off on that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Some people just get off on that
if
kind of
I'm
thing.
doing something bad, tell me. But if you're still logging in every day and you're still giving it a thumbs down, but you're still watching, tell me what I'm doing wrong. I'll work on it. I like constructive criticism.
See, like I've learned that being a director, like with music videos and animation and stuff, when I first started doing it, I was just kind of like, yeah, it's good, it's whatever. And then like when I learned how to do it better, I'm like, okay, that was all right, but you got to do it like this.
Yep.
Because like I learned how to be constructive, like criticize people constructively, but to be nice about it, not
Yeah,
be a complete
100%.
prick. Now, there's people that I'll give constructive criticism to. Like if you're like that with me, I'll be like, okay, sure, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I get that way with some people, and then they get mad because they think I'm like trying to yell at them, and I'm not. I'm just like, nah, dude, I'm trying to help you, like to better you. And then they just sit there with their arms crossed, and it's like an episode of Archer where I'm just like, oh, sit there and pout.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of I got a lot of constructive criticism when I first started, and it was all justified. But they're like, "Man, it doesn't sound really good, or this isn't really good, or your videos aren't looking very good." And I was like, "Dude, I 100% know that. Like, my problem is your criticism is very, very well welcomed, and I know my audio isn't the greatest, but I don't have good money to get the audio to get better. Like I know, like I'm at the best where I can do right now with my budget. I said once I get better microphones, I'll be in good shape. And I said my video editing, like I have a really shitty computer. Once I get a better computer, I can do better video edits because right now my computer can't handle it. So yeah, that was definitely good that people were still willing to be like, hey man, I think the idea of what you're doing is good, but just not. It doesn't sound very good. Or you don't know how to set up a soundboard. I'm like, no, I definitely don't know how to do that either. So I had people come over and kind of show me stuff with the soundboard of how to make my stuff sound better that way.
When I first started doing animation, a lot of the first episodes are very cringeworthy. I actually went back and I watched the Easter special from 2015, and I can't watch it because it's just so bad. Like there's parts where it's like, because back then, like, okay, so now I'm using I have 3 different programs I'm using to make one episode of any cartoon I do now or any music video with animation. And, you know, I got the fancy pants Canon, camera, you know, like the kind you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got all the fancy like fluorescent lights and the green screen and all that fun stuff. Back then I had a boom stand. I had a 4-track recorder that I plugged into my computer. 2 SM58 microphones. We were using socks as pop screens because I didn't have a pop screen. And I was literally using Photoshop and Windows Movie Maker to make these crappy little animations.
Yeah.
And nowadays, like a lot of people like to consider like my style. It's very traditional because a lot of the characters I have to make them move like on my own. Like I can't just be like, doot, 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 there you go, it's doing what I want it to do. I have to actually like make it move, especially like in the early days. It's like everything on there, like the mouth movements and stuff. That's all stuff I drew. But like back then,
so your
a
art
lot of
is
the
your
stuff,
art is like, is it like frame, like kind of like flip book, like frame by frame?
a little bit, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like the original stuff, it was very like it was kind of like a lot like Monty Python. Like there was like a stop motion element. Like if a guy had to move his arm up, it's like I had to do like 5 frames of the guy's arm actually moving. But nowadays it's like I've learned different techniques and it made it a lot easier. And now I learned how to make it so there's like so many different layers going on at a time in any like animated scene. So that's why like a lot of season 3, it's like there's a lot of background stuff going on because I was like, well, I know how to do this now, so I'm gonna show off.
Yeah.
But in season 1, it was like, all right, here's a picture and this guy's mouth is moving. Don't expect his head to tilt this way or that way. It's just his mouth.
You get what you get. It's like South Park season 1 and then watching South Park now. It's like a completely different show.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, like with a lot of my newer stuff, it's like I watch it and then like I'll watch like some 90s cartoons and I'll feel like so much better about myself because it's like, look like, wow, that's totally not in proportion.
Yeah.
Or like I'll watch like some Adult Swim stuff from like early 2000s that I grew up on, and I'm just watching it and I'm like, this is all just the same animation over and over again. Like they don't do anything new.
Yeah. You know, I'd actually never looked at animation like that ever until I remember I went out. I was one of those guys who like I'd never watched Family Guy, and everyone's like, you should check out Family Guy, and I was like, all right. So I went and I bought like season 1, 2, and 3 when it first came. Like that was the only way you can watch Family Guy because it was off TV. But you like pretty much the DVD sales is what brought Family Guy back because they're like, yo, these are selling out like crazy everywhere. So we should probably bring this show back. So I went back and I watched like all Family Guy all over again, and I remember, and I was like, well, after you watch every episode, I was like, that's why I'm a big fan of sometimes buying the DVD of a show or a movie I like, because I'll go back and watch the movie with the director's cut on and like listen to them commentate over it. And I just remember like you would hear Seth MacFarlane, he's like, oh my god, this is season 1. The art here is not, watch his tongue do this trick. And it's like, and I could, like, it was for the entire season I couldn't figure out why his tongue would do that when I animated it. And I'm like, oh my god, I would have never noticed that. And he's like kind of showing you the flaws of his art through the commentary, and like, and then you learn a little. Like I could never do the animation myself because I don't know how to do it, but it kind of like he was his own worst critic as well, and he knew it wasn't the greatest, but he kind of put it out because you learn as you go is what you're saying. And I think that's a really good process, and I like when people like when I go back when I first got my all my new stuff, it was a conversation brought up to me like, hey, since you're at a pretty good spot now, would you ever go back and get rid of your older content so it doesn't look that good, like because it wasn't like the best quality? And I was like, no, I kind of like, because I think if someone goes back and they're like a really big fan of the show, and they go back and watch older stuff, they're gonna see the development. I think they would appreciate the show more.
Yeah,
and how much content we put out.
Same way with like,
how much we put out in a little bit of time. Like in 1 year, I did over like I think 300 episodes total between the 4 shows. Like I'm proud of that. I think that's a cool thing.
That's very, very admirable. Like there was a point in time that I was doing an episode of Cartoons a week, like one episode. I mean, they were like 3-4 minute episodes. There was like very minimal animation, but I was doing an episode a week, which was crazy for me. Like now it's like you look at it, it's like it takes me maybe about a month to do a 5-minute episode.
Yeah. Because
like I still have to do everything, but like there's just so much more in it now. Like to make it look like a little more professional than it did.
Mm-hmm. What inspired you to do art and do like take this path on? Like what was like, man, I want to be a cartoonist, or I want to make my own cartoon or make my own comic book?
When I was younger, I always, was always like really big into animation and like drawing and stuff. And like I was always just kind of like naturally creative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'd see something on TV and I'd be like, oh, I want to do something. I would do it like this. And it's like I'd make up my own little stories and stuff. But like, you know, when I was a kid, I never really did anything with it except just draw. And then when I was in high school, because I'm like a huge cartoon nerd and like a huge film nerd. So
Mm-hmm.
like I have that for inspiration. And when, you know, I was in high school in my 10th grade year, I started like drawing a crappy little comic book that I used to Xerox called Chewy. And then it got to the point where people actually liked it and I was Xeroxing it off and selling it to people for $2.
That's awesome.
And then it just kind of like, it snowballed from there. And then I think the animation kind of came because it's like I always wanted to get into animation. Like I used to make little short films with my friends and I'd try to do animated stuff, but like I never really got into it. And then like I think around like 2014, it was like Thanksgiving. It's like, you know, I was still doing Crustains and I was at Thanksgiving dinner with my girlfriend's parents and they're like, so what do you do like when you're not at working and stuff? And I'm like, oh, I'm a cartoonist. I mean, oh, you mean like little YouTube like moving stuff? And I'm like, no, like comics. And they're like, oh, okay, sorry I offended you.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went home and I'm like, what if I did actually try to animate something? So like I watched a couple of videos on YouTube about like how to, and I'm like, oh, I could do that, and just kind of taught myself animation in like a night. And then I think like the next day I put together a crappy little 30-second short for Wine and Dine. And it's so bad, but it's like you look back at it and it's like, it's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah, not bad for someone who pretty much is self-taught at it. My actual my goal when I was in high school, like at a high school, like I wanted to go to college for cartooning. I wanted to be, now I can't, like I said, like I can cartoon. Like if you give me like an idea or I can kind of cartoon, or if you show me a character, I can draw it. But that's what I wanted to do. So my parents were like, "Oh, okay, let's get time to go to college. We got to start picking that out." And everything for like cartooning is like a 2-year college, you know. And I guess I couldn't get the same grants and funding if I would have went to a 4-year college. And I was like, I don't want to go to a 4-year school where I have to take gen ed classes again. Like I'm not interested in them. They'll bore me and I'll fail out. Like I just know me. You know what I mean? So we went to all these different schools, and every single time we went to it, my dad's like, "Yeah, I don't think this is going to be what you should do." And I was like, all right. So it kind of like died right then and there. But like I wanted to do like that, like animation and draw cartoons and make Disney Pixar movies, or like do like video games. Like one of the, like I haven't played it yet, but I'm like, it's like right up my wheelhouse of stuff. Something I would really, really love. The only problem is it's one of those games, they made it to be ridiculously hard for no reason. So that's the only thing that's preventing me not from playing it. But I want to buy it just for the art style alone. It's called Cuphead. Have you heard anything about that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh my God. When Cuphead came out, when I heard about Cuphead, I think it was, I was in Condition Oakland, and like the bass player at the time, he was like, "Oh, you hear about this Cuphead game? I think it'd be right up your alley since you do animation and stuff." And I'm like, let me see it. And at that point in time, I was like super deep into Crustoon season 2 or 3, and like when I get into a season of animation, like that's all I think about. Like I just work on that constantly. And then, so it's like I can't be bothered with just to look at little things like that. But then, like, I actually watched it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It's gorgeous.
So like, it came out, and I was actually dating a girl at the time, and my little burgeoning directing career and animation career was kind of like starting to get on the ground running. And like I wasn't able to spend as much time with her, and Cuphead came out, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And she's like, I forgot what she said to me exactly. She's like, what exactly, what are your intentions? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of want to direct stuff and live my life. And she's like, oh, I see how this is. Well, this probably ain't going to work. I'm like, yo, you want to come over and play Cuphead sometime? And she's like, didn't you just listen to me? And I'm like, no, not really, because I'm playing Cuphead.
Yeah.
But like, the game is so good, but it's so hard.
Yeah, that's my only
And
turnoff. Is I heard
that's-
it's ridiculously hard, but I love because that's all flip motion art. That's all. Every single movement
Yeah.
is a drawing. Like that old school Disney style, like the Jungle Book and Snow
Right.
White. It's every single frame is a different. Like that's such a old like a dying art that's not used anymore. And not only did they do it in animation, but they made a freaking video game with it. Like that's awesome.
Yes. we had there was, I can't remember, there were a couple Crustoons comics where I did like a running joke where it was called Steamboat Krusty,
Yeah.
and they were just drawn in like black and white. And I had actually a fan, his name is Daniel Lopez. He's actually really cool. He's like a real big fan of me. He always commissions me for like little fan art things of Crustoons.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I did Steamboat Krusty for him the one time, and I think I did like a Hawk and maybe a Punk Rock Friend number 3. And then one of the ideas for season 4, there's a lot of season 4 ideas that maybe one day I'm going to get to, but I don't know right now. But in season 4, one of the main episode ideas was to do a Steamboat Krusty episode.
Yeah.
And it was going to be no voiceovers, just I was going to hire a local band that I know to do like a cool little folky, like background music kind of thing,
Yeah.
and just kind of have that with a little subtitles, and then, you know, throw like the little film filter on it so it looks like it's an old old cartoon from the 1930s.
That'd be fantastic.
And that was going to be it. It was just going to be like the same exact content, like I think like Krusty Keenan, like the whole plot was like Krusty Keenan and Hawk wanted to get beer
Yeah.
from like homeless Ronnie, and then the cop was chasing them, and that was just the whole plot of the episode. But it was like done like, you know, like an old 1930s cartoon.
Did you ever watch the one where
you know,
where Mickey Mouse is I don't even think it's on there. I have to look it up, but it's like it's Mickey Mouse, and he's in a cheese factory, and he's making regular cheese into Swiss cheese, and he's literally, the animation looks like he's doing it with his dick. Did you ever see that?
I haven't seen that. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it literally it looks like he's whistling, and he's taking the cheese and he's spinning it and he's putting holes in it, but both hands are on the cheese, and then the other hand there's an animation of like a boner, and he's literally just sticking his boner through the cheese and making Swiss cheese, like. And then like it's like a meme on the internet. Like, wait a minute. Like, what is Mickey doing? Like,
that's hilarious. But yeah, that was an actual episode idea we had. Another idea for season 4 we had was we were going to do a crossover between Crustoons and WrestleMania, where Krusty Keenan finds out that his bass player Hawk's dad used to be a pro wrestler called the Crimson Red Guy, and he
not too far off from an actual wrestling name.
Yeah, he has a feud with the editor of the WrestleMania, whatever they do, the blog, the editor, the main guy, Wrecking Ball Wallace, the big guy that looks like the dude from the meme.
Yeah,
which is done on purpose. But the whole idea was, I forget what it was. Oh yeah, they did an episode of WrestleMania where they talked crap on the Crimson Red Guy, and they went to the office to confront them about it. And I forgot exactly what the whole plot was, but it was just a whole lot of them just making fun of each other. And I think I actually ended up using one of the jokes because I did a crossover comic between the two where you know, it's like Hawk was talking to him. So like, what do you guys do anyways? It's like, oh, you know, we just kind of like talk about wrestling. And then he's like, wow, that's real niche. And they're like, don't you just talk about like punk rock and local music? He's like, shut up. But that would have been the basic plot of the episode.
They talk shit on him. He shows up at their house to confront them on them talking shit on what he's doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why I always like tell people on the show, like, be careful what you say. Like for us in general, like, be careful what you say if you're gonna bash somebody and say they suck at what they do, because we go to the shows like there may be a point in time where we may run into someone that you said was garbage. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like probably.
Yeah, that's why I try to keep my comments to myself about those kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people on our show, like, if you're part of our show, like with the thing, like, you're allowed to have your opinion, but like, don't be like there's a way about going about it. You know what I mean? Especially, and my thing is, like, if I've never done something, I will never sit there and say you're the absolute shits at something or the drizzling shits at something, because I've never trained. I've never stepped in between what you've done. I've never tried to do what you do. So for me to sit there and say that you're horrible, it's just, I just think it's just not. It's just, I don't know. It's just not a good thing to do. But
yeah.
But so when like now that we're doing like the wrestling thing and it's getting a lot of momentum, like going to a show, and I was at a show one time and like I'm backstage with Billy Gunn. I was like, this is like, I would have never thought in my entire life I would have been in this situation. You know what I mean? Like the old wrestling nerd fan in me was like freaking out because I'm standing next to Billy Gunn and then meeting the headbangers and like guys who obviously are like, I mean, Billy Gunn is still very credible in the wrestling community because he's like had talent relations of AEW, but like it's just, I don't know, it's just a really, I don't know, it's such a cool. I'm really happy that it turned into what it has, you know. The rest, especially being a huge wrestling nerd.
Did I tell you this last time I was on? Did I tell you this story about when my buddy Chris met the Ultimo Dragon?
No.
I feel like I might have, or I might have intended to, but I did not. So I have a friend. His name is Chris Decker. He's very well known around the area in the independent wrestling scene because he's a referee.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say, that does sound, his name sounds very familiar.
Yeah. Well, they had one. He's always trying to get me to come to shows, and it's always on a day I have a show with a band or something.
Yeah.
And the one, he also does voice work for a lot of stuff I do.
Oh, okay.
And we used to be in a band together, and he plays music too. But anyways, he was going to referee. I'm probably going to tell the story all wrong, but this is the gist of it. He was going to referee the Ultimate Dragons match, and I think somebody had asked him. They're like, hey, so the Ultimo Dragon wants like Burger King. Could you go get him Burger King? So I was like, okay. So I went to Burger King and got him like a double Whopper, fries and stuff. And then he walks into the locker room, and there's the Ultimo Dragon sitting there without his mask on, and he's like, "Here you go." And he's just kind of like,
confused,
you know, with the accent. He's like, "Thank you." And then he just eats the Burger King, and that's it.
I would have 100
like very low, like, thank you.
Yeah, if someone's like Ultimo Dragon wants Burger King, I'm like, well, the Ultimo Dragon's gonna get fucking Burger King. Like, there's no like I will be right back. You know what I mean? Like, fucking A Ryla, that's the greatest thing ever. That guy's a legend. Like, what does he want? Chicken sandwich? Yeah. I'm buying. I want to be like, I paid for the Ultimo Dragon's Burger King that day. Like,
I think that was the case too. I think Chris ended up having to pay for it too, and like he didn't pay him back. He's just like, thank you.
Thank you for the cheeseburger. Oh my god, yeah. And he's, I mean, dude, you look at Ultimo Dragon, there's a picture of him with like 152 belts draped around his entire little body. Like, that dude did a lot of cool shit. Yeah.
But like, the weirdest thing about, probably like we're going way off topic here,
that's
but
all right.
Like the weirdest thing about him is like, he went to WWE, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But he was only there for like a year.
Yep.
And nobody remembers that he was at WrestleMania and like that he was there. But like when he went there, like the only reason he went there was because he's like, well, I want to be at WrestleMania and I want to wrestle in Madison Square Garden. So if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. So and he did that. And I think like right after Mania, he was like, all right, I'm out. See ya.
Well, did he have broken English? Like he wasn't very good with English, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure exactly. But when Chris told me he met him, like I don't think that was an issue.
Yeah. Because I know like when he went to WCW, like when he was in WCW, he was huge, and then when WBE had him, they didn't really use him properly because they're like, because Vince logic, I already have one mask guy. What do I need another one for? You know what I mean? Like, so he didn't get used like he should have. Because Ultimo Dragon, like I don't know, I always leaned more towards Ultimo Dragon than I did Rey Mysterio. Like even in the video games and stuff, I'm like I thought his costume was cooler, and I don't know, I was just a big fan of him. Like Psychosis was awesome, and they didn't use him properly.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like I was a much bigger, but see, like I was never like a huge like lucha libre guy when I was younger. I was always, surprisingly enough, I was like more into like the technical guys. Like I was real big on like William Regal and
Yeah.
Chris Benoit and like even Chris Jericho, like more or less, and Dean Malenko,
Mm-hmm.
and like the high flying guys. I was just kind of like whatever. I was
Yeah.
like more like a like. If Drew Gulak was around when I was younger, I would have been more of a Drew Gulak guy.
Oh, he's fantastic. Did you watch the
I
Dark Side
loved
of the Ring
his
with Benoit?
which one?
The Benoit one.
I didn't get to see the Benoit, but I got to see the Brawl for All one.
Oh, dude, the Benoit one, I cried. I'm not even gonna sit here and tell you I didn't. I bawled like a baby. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I did watch the Brawl for All one while I was waiting for one of the drafts of spare change to render, and like I just remember just being like hilarious because like it's just all these guys talking about how bad it was.
And
like,
Russo to this day is still trying to say it was a good idea, bro. It just didn't work out the way it should have. And then Jim Cornette's like, I want to murder Vince Russo.
Oh my God! If I ever do a WrestleMania cartoon like a full season, I gotta have you on as like some sort of parody of Vince Russo.
Yeah, like a Vince Russo. Dude,
Bruce Vinso.
They always I get made fun of on the show a lot because I love gimmicky shit, and they're like, "You would love they're like you're an asshole. Like you like this garbage." I'm like, I do. I don't know why. Like I think it's entertaining. No, listen, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of like putting something on a pole match. That was a Vince Russo thing. But like I don't know.
Judy Bagwell on a pole match.
She stood there
that
on
could be an episode of WrestleMania. It's just he shows up and he keeps pitching on a pole matches. And you're like, would you stop? It's like, we're going to have a pole on a pole match.
And whoever gets the pole down, bro, is the winner. And we're going to have a triple-double cross.
And they get up there and they're like, which pole did we have to get down? I'm confused.
That'd be a great episode. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well,
you have to have a Jim Cornette character, too, just like the old-school guy who hates everything new.
Yeah, actually, see, I would only want to do that cartoon if I had any kind of funding from something, just so I could actually get like real professional wrestling personalities to be on the show.
Yeah.
Like the cool thing about it is like I can make up my own characters. Like a lot of it is when I was younger, I was super big in the wrestling games, like I was talking about earlier, and like I had a lot of made up creative guys. So I'm like, I could just put them on the show now.
Yeah.
So it's like if I need some sort of bad foreign gimmicky wrestler, I could have this guy from Canada that I made up when I was like 15 or like 14.
Here comes
and, like,
Maple Syrup Man.
And he's just like, like, yeah, exactly, like stuff like that. Or it's like they're going into Canada for a wrestling show and they actually get pulled over by the Mountie, and it's just like, I didn't think you were a real Mountie.
I always get my man.
Yeah, or like they're taking their garbage out and Duke the Dumpster Drosie's like there, and they're like, we didn't think you were a real garbage man. It's like, what you think I do for a living? Wrestle? Well, that's not gonna last forever.
I met the Brooklyn Brawler too.
Oh, I heard he's really cool.
Super nice dude.
Actually, from Chris, I heard he's a super cool guy.
Yeah, he didn't disappoint. I was very happy that I met him. He was a really, really, really nice guy. Shot like one of those things like hey Tony, I'm asking young 8-year-old Tony, you think you'll ever meet the Brooklyn Brawler? Like never. Like, and then here we are. Oh man. So what now, you said you have the new show coming out. What was your idea behind the new cartoon Spare Change?
Okay, so I don't remember exactly when I came up with the concept, but I want to say it was somewhere in between last December when I was trying to get the new episode of Crust Tunes together, like the intro, and it took me like a month, and I was like, this isn't going to happen. And now I was very much like, I wanted to get back into animation, but I wasn't exactly sure like what I wanted to do. Like I just kind of went into it being like, okay, I'm going to do another season of Crust Tunes. And then like at the time it was like, I don't really know, like, cause like the music scene was a lot different at that time for me. Like, I think like I wasn't playing as much, or I was doing a lot more solo shows and not doing as many Condition Oakland shows. And like a lot of the writing for Crust Tunes came about playing shows with Condition Oakland, because a lot of it was sitting in a van for
Down by
5
the river.
hours and just kind of like doing whatever. And like the experiences from that, like a lot of season 3, the writing actually came from when we went on tour out to the Midwest. But anyway, so I'm there and I'm like trying to come up with new concepts, and I'm like, all right, well, we can do a WrestleMania show. And then like I did 2 episodes and I was like, this is going to be a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And then I was thinking maybe we could do a Wine and Dine, and then that wasn't really working out either. But so then I started coming up with some new concepts that could have been like films or like series or something.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, like I think at the time I was just kind of like sitting there and I'm like, let's come up with dumb little ideas. And then for some reason I'm like thinking about this crappy old couch that used to be in my old apartment that my brother used to just sleep on constantly and sit on, and other things, God knows what. And he would just watch TV all the time. And I'm thinking, like, for some reason my mind just went to like, what if that was a Pixar movie? It just kind of goes into the couch, and inside of the couch there is, you know, this anthropomorphic quarter and a dime just kind of like hiding out from this guy in case he wants to find like change for beer money. And they just kind of like hang out with a bug all the time and just kind of go about their day. And then, you know, the kind of like the house is a lot more dangerous, you'd think, when you're like only like, you know, like a centimeter tall. And that kind of made me like think like, well, maybe I could write something with this. So I kind of just threw something together with the intention of it maybe being like a tiny little short film.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote it, and then I sat down and I just let it kind of sit there for a little bit. And then I think I actually wrote a treatment for another series that I called I forget what it was called. It was like Devil May Care or something like that, or something dumb. And it was about the Jersey Devil kind of being like this like for hire mercenary Uber driver who was hired to take this guy who's running away from his pregnant fiance across the New York border into Pennsylvania, where she can't find him, which I'm going to go back to that eventually at some point in time, but right now is not the time for me to embark on that ambitious project.
Yeah.
But, you know, last year happened. I did the new music video for Kevo. I did the other music video for Aswell and the Condition Oakland stuff. I think I put out did I put out a record last year? I don't remember, probably. But I did a lot of stuff last year, and I kind of just forgot about it. And then I'm like, for some reason, I was like talking we went on a little weekender up to New York before all this happened. And I think I was talking to Zach, actually, because Zach from Condition Oakland, he was on all 3 seasons of Crust Tunes and Wine and Dine.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually a very talented voice actor. Like, if you want him to do, he's good for like a lot of things. He's just kind of got to, push him in the right direction, and he's there.
Yeah.
And I kind of mentioned it to him because I wrote the one character thinking of Zach in mind, and I kind of told him, I'm like, oh, something. I think he was like doing like a little ditchy ditch impression that he does, which is the one character he plays on there. He's like, oh, can I get some change or something? And I'm like, I just kind of tell him about it. I'm like, I had this show that I wrote that was about like a quarter and a dime just hanging out, and he's like, I'm interested. Tell me more. So I just kind of start telling him about it. And then he's like, I'm like, yeah, it's stupid. And then Zach's like, no, that's really clever, actually. And then I told Tyler about it. And usually when I tell Tyler about something and he says it's good, that's when I'm like, all right, that's the green light. I need to do this.
Yeah.
Because if I told Tyler I'm going to do it, I have to do it. And then, I told a couple of different people and everybody, and Danny, I told him, Danny was like, oh, anything you need me to do for that, let me know. Because Danny was in a couple of music videos I did.
What's his mannerism? I just listened on the podcast. He kept saying that this one thing. He has this one
biz.
The bit. No, he
calls everything the biz.
The biz, but no, he says like, I'm telling you the truth or something like that. He always says he's always reaffirming that he's telling you the truth. That's like another mannerism he has. Yeah. I'm not lying. I think it's I'm not lying. And then you're like, I thought you were lying.
That's it. That's it. I'm not lying.
I'm not lying. Oh my God, he cracks me up. I love that kid.
Yeah. Danny's really fun to work with, and you'd be really surprised at this, but he's actually a really good actor. Like, you sit down with Danny, and it's like, I think he was in the King Kong Hates the Wolfman video, and I'm like, you're gonna be the drummer in the band, because I couldn't think of anything else for him to do.
Yeah.
And I think like the 3 scenes I told him to do, everything he knocked out of the park on the first take, and I'm like, all right, cool. So then when we did the Palette Things video, we're like, let's have Danny do it. Why the hell not? And Danny was actually like really good in that video. And then we decided to do Spare Change. I was going to get my buddy Chris actually to be the guy on the couch, but like it just didn't work out. And then we decided to film in Tyler's apartment, which is where we did it. And I'm just kind of like, you know what? I think we're going to get Danny to do this because Danny is just, he fits. Like, he would just like, cause like, I didn't want to be that guy like, oh, it's going to be a fat guy on the couch. No, cause that's mean. That's fat phobic.
Yeah.
You say, oh, a fat guy's lazy. No, I know a lot of fat people that are way more active than I am. But so we got Danny to do that. And then like, when I'm writing it together, it's like a lot of people. So like back in January, I'm just like you know what? Like, we're gonna do this. I want to get it done. And then the quarantine happened. So at that point in time, it's like I was working 50 hours a week. I was doing 3 different bands, and I just had no time. And I'm like, well, now is the best time to do this. So I think like the first week of quarantine, we just got together, we banged out the live action scenes, we got everything we needed for the backgrounds and everything, and then like I went home, I locked my door, I sat down, and I think it took me like 10 hours to get all the character models together for all the characters. And then like the next day or two, I started animation. Well, not animation, we had to get the voice stuff done, and then we started the animation. But that was another weird thing with the cartoon, because it was like, usually when I do, like, I write a script, I'm like, oh, I want this person to play this character. And then they're like, oh, well, I can't do it because I got things going on. Or it's like, hey, you want to do a voice for this? And it's like, yeah, I'll get it to you. And then it's like a month later, and it's like, oh, hey, you still need that voice? And it's like, well, the first 3 scenes are done, so not really.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, and the thing is, it's weird because it's like, I usually don't want to do any voice acting on my work, but then I'll like sit there and I'll be like, but what if I did? And then like for this one, it's like, I didn't want to play the quarter. I wanted somebody else to. And I'm just kind of thinking, I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just do it? Because I read it, I hear it in my voice. It probably would be best if I did it. And then Zach was the dime. And then it got to the other character, the fly, whose name is Buzz. And I originally, I was like, I sent out a little thing like, oh, hey, everyone who does voice stuff for me, I'm looking for a voice for this character. If you want to do it. And then they're like, well, how do you want him to sound? And then I kind of, I did like a little like New York accent voice. And then I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's how I want him to sound. And then I'm like, go away, I'll do it myself. Because like, I honestly like feel like I don't give myself enough credit.
No, I think you have a really good cartoon voice. Like just watching the 3-minute trailer, well, was that the trailer or was that the episode that you sent me?
The second thing I sent you was the episode.
Oh, okay. So yeah, from what I seen from that, I thought your voice fit that character very well.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's like some voices I could like. I'm really good at like doing like rough voices and stuff like that, like those kind of characters. But then like Zach is good at doing like the little kind of high pitched, little like innocent, naive people, stuff like that. And I, I just kind of decided, I'm like, screw it, I'll just do it. It's, because you know, a lot of people who make cartoons, especially like smaller independent ones, like they'll just do their own voices, like Matt Reed, the guy who does is it Matt Reed or Adam Reed? I think it's Adam Reed. Adam Reed, the guy who does Archer.
Mm-hmm.
He did Frisky Dingo, and he was like the main guy on that show. Like he was Xander Cruz or whatever. And then now he's doing Archer, and he's like he plays like the what's his name? He plays Ray, but he was going to be Archer, but they were like, nah, we want somebody with name power to be that, or like you know. Matt and Trey from South Park, they do everything on there. So
yeah, they do like 80% of the show.
Yeah, but it's like I like to give other people, like I know on Crust it's like a lot of times I did my own voices and just had other people peppered in here and there.
Yeah, well, I think too is that when you are able to, like a Matt and Trey Parker, or even you yourself, you're doing a cartoon, or sometimes I fall into the trap where I don't ask for a lot of people to do stuff with me, only because it's like how you were saying, like then you're like dependent, like I need that guy, like I like his voice, he already started it, now I need him to be like committed, and it's hard to tell people, you know, to like have them commit to the level of you want to get your project done, and like when your creative juices are flowing and you want to get something done, or you're very passionate, and then you're held up because this one person's not getting you what they need, it's frustrating. So you're like, fuck, I'll just do it myself, and this way I know it's going to get done, and it'll get done in the rate of time I need it to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of it is that, but with this one, like I have a lot of dedicated people, like Zach's dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we weren't on staying home order right now, if I said, hey Zach, come over, let's bang out the line for this next episode, he'd be over here in like, you know, like a day.
Yeah.
And then we have crap. My buddy Corey from up in he lives near Rochester, New York. He came on Crust Tunes season 3 because I met him when I used to tour up in New York a lot, and he read Crust Tunes a lot, and he's like, yo, if you ever do like animation or something, yo, hit me up, because I totally would like to do that. And you know, I was like, at the time, I'm like, I'm never gonna do that, so I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then season 3 popped around, and I needed more people because I'm like, you can't just have me, Zach, and Caitlin doing the same voices. People are going to catch on. And then Corey's like, hey, I could do something. So I'm like, okay.
I think Tyler would have a funny cartoon character
pancake
voice.
Tyler's actually on season 3 of Crust Tunes. He plays douchebag singer-songwriter who originally was voiced by another one of my friends, but kind of had a falling out with this guy when I found out some personal stuff about him.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, yeah, you're not going to be on the show anymore. But like he only voiced the character like once. So when I wrote him in another episode, I'm like, let's see how Tyler would do as him. So Tyler went in and he killed it. He actually was on another episode too. He played a mailman in the one Christmas episode. And I was like, he's like, well, what is he going to be like? I'm like, spazzy. And he's like, oh yeah, I could do that. Because he's like naturally spazzy. He's actually, anyways, I'll just keep talking about the cartoon. I originally decided to do this as a short film. And after Corey and everybody else started doing their voices and stuff, I started was like, well, what if I did another episode? And I started doing the other episodes, like writing the other episodes, and I was like, the characters, like the hardest part about writing a cartoon is finding a voice for the characters. Like not even just like doing the voices. I mean, just like, because you can't just like write like, oh, this guy's going to do this. And then it's like one episode, it's like, oh, this guy, he's going to be paranoid. And then in the next episode, he's going to just be like a cynical jerk. And it's like, you can't just do that. They have to kind of be consistent.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where one thing I learned from writing Crust Tunes, it's like, you kind of got to keep it consistent with these people doing things like this. And when I kind of got that feeling for it, I was just like, all right, cool. This is how this is going to happen. And now it's like, now I just wrote an episode. It's the weirdest concept. And this is where Tyler comes in. So two of the characters, Penny and Buzz, she's literally a penny. That's what she is, and her name is Penny. It's like the worst thing to call her ever. And Buzz, they're trying to order pizza, but meanwhile, Flip and 10, which is the name of the quarter and the dime respectively, they find a lost pair of keys, which is what Tyler's going to play. And for some reason,
you have to have a remote control because everyone loses a remote control on the couch cushions.
Corey actually voices a remote control in the first episode. And when you watch it, you're going to be like, holy crap, this is like, it's bigger than Jesus. Because he's basically like, there's a real, and I'm not saying it's completely inspired by it, but a very 2001 A Space Odyssey-esque scene where they meet a remote control because they need to ask his sage-like wisdom. But he does the voice of the remote. But anyways, so they find a pair of keys.
I'm just picking my brain in my head, like as you're talking of like other things that you always find in a couch.
Yes, there's so many that we're coming up with. Like my friend Ian from Cardboard Homestead, the band, he's going to be playing like a rat that actually works as like a bus driver, basically. Because it's like they live in this house or this apartment, and to them, it's like, to you, it's just an apartment, but to them, it's like a small metropolitan city.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I got to go to the kitchen. Better get on the bus. Stuff like that.
It reminds me of like when Rocco, we used to do episodes with like a flea on a dog, and then on the dog it was like an entire universe to those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it's like we're doing another episode where Flip the quarter, his old friend who's a $50 named Buck that wears a cowboy hat, comes to visit, and he tells everybody that he's from down south, and they're like, "You're from the basement. Don't tell everybody you're from down south." And he's like, "Yep, they got." He's like, "Yep, they got spiders down there the size of your head," and it's like, "Well, that's the size of them usually." But it's a really interesting concept.
Oh my god!
It's just,
how about those things that people are using now? Those tiles where you put them on something and then you use your phone app to like tell you where they are. So you have like an undercover item with a tile on it, like a wire, and like he like, the couch gets cleaned or something like that.
Yeah. What's another one I was thinking of? I was actually thinking of. They decide they're going to start working out, and they go to a gym, and it's just full of batteries.
Yeah.
Because, power, stuff like that. I don't know why I thought that was funny.
Everything under my couch is dog toys. My dog hides her toys in the couch.
Yeah. We were actually going to try to do an episode with my dog as like one of the starring people in one episode where they meet the dog. We another thing we want to try to do is I want to do an episode where the fly he gets kidnapped and they don't know where he is, and then they find out he's in a spider web, and they're like, "Oh no, he's gonna eat them," and then the spider's like, "What are you talking about? I'm vegan. This dude owes me money." He's like, "I don't want to eat him. Ew." But there's a lot of cool ideas we're coming up with for this.
Yeah, I'm excited. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, but yeah, like I'm trying to finish up. I keep getting distracted and talking about the voice cast. But yeah, Corey does the voice of the remote. We have Sydney Flanagan, who actually just starred in the critically acclaimed Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. She's actually going to be on the show. I know her from playing shows with her up in upstate New York. And she's like a legitimate actress. So,
oh wow,
I think like the first week when I was putting this together, she just randomly messages me and says like, "Yo, if you need any voiceover work, let me know, because I ain't got nothing going on." And I'm just like, well, guess what? I got a voice I need. So she plays Penny, who, Penny's kind of like, her character is weird because usually on my show, I have the female character, and I kind of take the easy way out where it's like, well, guys, I don't think that's such a good idea, which is like every female character ever on every show.
Mm-hmm.
But this show, I was kind of like, well, we got a guy like that. The Quarter is like that. So Penny's going to be more like, she's just lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like Penny, like, if there's like, say they take the vacuum cleaner and they're going to clean out the couch and everybody's like freaking out, like, we got to get out of here. She's still sitting there watching like B horror movies.
Like my wife.
In your face with popcorn. Yeah, pretty much. Or like in the one episode we're doing, the dime and the pair of keys are stuck in the car, and there's a carjacker trying to get into the car, and Flip the Quarter is like freaking out, and Penny's just like, who's that? Is that the pizza guy? Which, first off, they're like dimes and quarters. They don't eat pizza. Why is she concerned with that kind of thing? She does not need nourishment of any kind. But basically, that's her character. And then you got 10, who's like a little dime, basically. And he's pretty much, I would honestly describe him kind of very SpongeBob-esque. He's very naive. He's kind of younger than the rest of the group. If you would see on the show itself, on the animation, his dime was actually minted in 2002, so he's a little younger. He's definitely a Zoomer, and he's just kind of all about just like having fun, living life to the fullest, getting out there. He wants to go to the kitchens and like check out downtown, but like the Porter's like, no, you can't. And
you gotta have an old school.
Like,
wasn't the old dimes made with actual silver? Like have an old dime, like an old school dime. I'm actually made of precious materials or something stupid.
Yeah, that's a plot point for the one script we wrote. He actually goes to the kitchen to visit his grandfather, who's in a coin jar, which is basically the coin equivalent of an old folks home. And he does the whole thing like, he's like, back in my day, a dime was worth a lot more. And they're just like, okay, boomer.
And the wheat penny. What did you say?
Yeah, another thing we want to do is like we want to have like a arcade token, just kind of show up and kind of just like
you're not even real.
like fit in. He's like, hey guys, what's up? I'm like a pound, and they're like, pounds aren't what? And that's another thing Zach actually pitched. We want to do an episode where the Fly tries to leave the house for some reason, and he's stopped at the front door by Canadian pennies that are dressed as Mounties. They're like, hold on a second there, buddy. So yeah, we got a lot of ideas.
Awesome. And where's that predominantly going to be located? Is it going to be a YouTube, Facebook?
I'm going to put it out on YouTube. Some point when we get a couple episodes, I'll make a Facebook up for it. I don't want to promise to anybody that this is going to be a weekly thing because one episode takes me about a month. So it might be a monthly thing. I think once I start doing a couple episodes, then I'll start getting in the groove of doing it a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's just like, I got my own things going on, but I really want the show to work. I might actually pitch it to a couple people to see if I can actually get funding for it or if we can get picked up by something, which I got a pretty good feeling about it. I think it's a very different concept. I think even, because I know a lot of my friends, they actually showed it to their kids.
Oh, wow.
My buddy Chris that I was talking about, his daughter is like, she saw the first rough cut and like she saw like the first half and she's like, is there more? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, tell him to hurry up because I want to see what happens to the Dorito. And so that's pretty cool. But like I said, I have like a really good feeling about this.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a cool concept. That's where when you first showed, like we start talking about it, it immediately took me right to the old, like some of my favorite Rocco episodes where you have like a universe inside of a universe. Like I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm trying to get at here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like really trying to like not like with the writing. I'm trying not to force it. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, well, it's going to be this, that, and the other thing. No, I just kind of just want to, like, sit back and be like, all right, well, Let's see what happens in this episode. They meet Waffle and I don't know. They get all sticky. There you go. That's an episode.
Nailed it.
Just kind of that kind of nonsense.
So let's switch gears here a little bit. Let's talk about the new album. If you want to look it up, you go on Spotify, type in Ted Hazard. It's also on Bandcamp. If you want you can actually pay for it on Bandcamp, right?
Yes.
So definitely do that.
New album.
Help your local art musician out by you can list on Spotify, but if you go over and throw a couple bucks over on Bandcamp, it's called Martial Law.
Yes,
Mhm.
The correct spelling is Marshall, martial law. Not the correct spelling for the actual term, but for the record, that's the actual spelling.
Yeah. Now, we were looking. Let me just look at it here real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, 13 or 12 songs. Sorry, 12 songs.
Yeah, 12 songs.
Cool. I don't know how I got an extra one in there. How long have you been working on this album?
Actually, realistically, I want to say since 2016. Because the last record I put out was called Self-Reconstruction, like the last full-length record. And I put that out in 2016. And at the it was funny because, I did it. And at the time, the guy who's running the record label I was on, Bobby Hunt, was like, I'm not putting out your next record unless it's a full band record. So I'm just like, well, loophole. I'm going to get a drum program and I'm going to mix the drums like real drums. And then I'm going to put out a full band record. And I showed it to him. And he's like, yeah, that was really good. Who'd you get to play drums? And I'm like, it's a drum machine. And he's like, all right, you win.
I would have made up a character. I would have been like, it's my buddy. We call him DM.
Jojo.
His name is
Joey Jojo Shabadoo.
His name is Daryl Mitchkin. We call him DM for short.
His name is Bobby Drum Machiney.
He's really good.
Is that his real name? Yeah, it's Polish.
He's a hard guy. He's a hard guy to get a hold of. He doesn't do it for everybody.
But so we put that out, and then a couple of years, I did an EP here and there, but it's only 2 or 3 songs. And I'm not gonna oh yeah, that was a full length record. No, because you just sit down, record 4 songs by yourself, and there you go. You got something to keep people at bay. But I've been trying to get this full length record out, and I've just been sitting on 15 songs, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get these done. And then it went to, do I want to do this as a full length album? It's like, yes, or not a full length, but a full band album. It's like, yes, couldn't find a drummer. Start doing it with the drum machine. People are like, oh, hey, is this record just you with the guitar, or is it like that crap that was Self-Reconstruction again with the drums and all that nonsense? And I'm like, it's like the Self-Reconstruction because it says it right on there. And they're like, oh, well, I just want the stuff with you and the guitar. So then it's, oh, I want to do it by myself. And then, then I had Charles Manson Dance Academy, and we did a couple songs that were going to go on the record.
Is that still a thing? Charles Manson Dance Academy?
It is still a thing. Yes. We're just we're taking a little hiatus right now because of quarantine. But when it's done, we're going to come back, bigger and better than ever. We're going to put out that EP.
And then come on the podcast.
See, that was another thing. Yes. And come on the podcast. But that was one of the things. It was we had this EP, we were all ready to release it, and then this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, let's have band practice and bang out this next record. And they're like, oh, probably not a good idea with the social distancing. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, I understand that. So I'm sitting here, and I look over at my guitar, and I'm like, well, I guess I could just work on the songs a little bit. And then the next thing you know, 3 days later, I'm doing a live stream solo again. I promised back in last August that I was going to play my last solo show, and that was going to be it, and I wasn't going to do solo shows anymore. And now my buddy Al Brundage is like, oh, well, you're probably going to start doing solo shows again. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to have it this time, crazy person. And back here in March, and well, I'm doing solo shows again, and I sat down, started playing some songs, and then I started writing, and then next thing you know, like a week later, I had a full record on my hands. So I'm like, well, I've got to do something with this. I can't sit on 12 songs forever. So I took the 4 or 5 songs I wrote on quarantine and then a couple ones that I had left over. Went over to Tyler. Tyler recorded it. Took us about 3 days. And then, I got it all mastered by the infamous Joe Billy. And Dirty Scoundrel Records I just kind of got it done, and I pushed it over to Dirty Scoundrel. I'm like, here you go, guys, put this out. And they were like, oh, cool, you put out a solo record. Didn't see that coming.
Now, what are some of your inspirations? Like, is there a theme to the album? What can we expect with it? I'm looking at some of the titles, and man, they're all over the place.
A lot of, yeah, I mean, like I said, a couple of the songs are songs I've been playing for the last couple of years, like Super 8 Toledo, Ohio, and Blue Screen of Death. I wrote those a couple of years ago. A lot of the newer ones like Xenophobia, Warrior Princess, But There Was Time Now. A lot of that it's about basically a lot of the record. I kind of want to say a lot of it is about writer's block, and being quarantined and, not really being able to express how you're feeling, emotionally, because like you can't get that out because like your brain is so preoccupied with everything else going on that you can't write anything. And that's basically how my last couple of months of my life have been going. Like I haven't been able to write music. I haven't been able to write cartoons or anything. And then like as soon as like everything just stops and the world comes to a standstill, all of a sudden now I can write again. Mm-hmm. But I can't go out and play shows. So it's kind of a little frustrating. But being able to write again, like that was a really good gift for me, I guess. And I was really happy because I really feel like a lot of the lyrical content on this record is really good compared to a lot of the last ones. Okay. I mean, I get a lot of I get a lot of actual praise with a lot of my writing, like lyrically at least, because I mean, a lot of people like to say like, oh, he's like super honest in his lyrics, but like they're kind of funny, and I'm like, well, that's a good way to put what it is.
Yeah.
Even though like
I think you use sarcasm. You use your sarcasm in the right places where it comes off as like you're probably like possibly heartbroken or depressed or sad or
that's it.
But your sarcasm would be the same as if you were happy or cheer happy, like or you're uncomfortable or you have maybe a little bit of anxiety somewhere. You'll throw your sarcasm in there, and it kind of like
that's.
To people around you, they understand it and they laugh, but other people's like, I don't understand that. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it is. You got it.
Yeah.
You just described it all to a T. It's like watching an episode of BoJack Horseman. It's like, I'm super cynical and very angry. But like if you like dissect the song piece by piece, you're like, oh, this guy is kind of like real sad and this is bumming me out.
That's why that's why I'm a huge Rick fan.
Yeah.
I have to watch BoJack Horseman.
You still need to. I told you the last 2 times I was on the show. You still haven't.
Yeah. I have to watch
it. But yeah, I really feel like when I write a record, it's not go time with the record until I come up with at least like 5 or 6 tongue-in-cheek song titles.
Yeah.
And this one, I feel like I kind of really hit it out of the park.
Yeah, so the ones that caught my eye, I like a lot. I Believe I Can Die. It's really funny, especially with the whole R. Kelly thing going on. I'm Not Punk Rock Anymore. Obviously, Cactus Jack.
That one's actually that. Yeah, well, that song's actually Cactus Jack is an older song. That song is actually about when I got my gallbladder surgery. But like before that, I had no idea what was wrong with me. I thought I was dying. I was like, what is wrong with me? My bones are aching. My stomach is cramping constantly. I don't know what's wrong with me. Am I going to die? So like I started writing that song, and then I had the little line in there where it says, "I feel like electric light tubes in a Texas death match," and I'm like, "We're calling the song Cactus Jack." And,
Famous Last Words reminds me of what? Who is that? Famous Last Words. Is that My Chemical Romance had a song called My Famous Last Words?
I don't know, because I'm not really big into My Chemical Romance. Famous Last Words is actually, it's very much about Trump supporters.
Oh, really?
And I know you don't like making the show super political.
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about political stuff. That doesn't bother me at all, because I'm very open-minded where I listen to both sides. But like, I don't think I'm at the point where I would completely go one side over the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're not Alex Jones.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to support the band,
Yeah,
but I was like, I can't wear that shirt. You know what I mean? Like, I want to support you guys. I just can't go that far yet.
I know exactly what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
So, but like the opening lines of that song are quote unquote, "Well, I'm not racist," and that every time I hear that, it's cringeworthy. It's like, if you have to say, "Well, I'm not racist," you probably are.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though.
There's something stupid you said.
I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I watched. I don't know if you're a big Netflix guy. This is kind of off topic, but did you watch the 100 People or something like that?
No.
So what it is, they took 100 people of different, ages, sexes, racism. Racism. They took a bunch of racist people. No, different races, religions, everything, and they stripped them of pretty much their entire identity. You have to wear a blue blue, sweatpants and blue a sweatshirt, and all it has on it is your number. And it's everyone's from 1 to 100, and they do all these social experiments with them, and they kind of find human behavior. And what I got from the one episode is a lot of people can be perceived as being racist, but they're more prejudiced. And I think every single human being has a prejudice, even if they don't know it. Like, you in your heart don't hate a black person or hate black people. But if I were to take you and put you in a situation where you were one of the only white people in this room, your prejudice would kick in and you would do things that are out of character, even though you're not trying to do them. Right. If that makes any sense. So I think a lot of people confuse prejudice with racism, and it's not racism. Like, racism is a choice. You go out of your way to be a racist, or you go out of your way to dislike someone for whatever reasons. Where I think a prejudice is something that it's kind of like socially taught by you, and it's like a behavior that you're not even in full control of, that you're doing it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I'm either side of the coin. I mean, racist prejudice, it's all bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but there's certain things that you're doing as when you're being I guess a prejudice is the wrong term to use it, but they're like, I'm trying to example, like in this documentary, right? And this is white, Hispanic, black. They did an experiment where they had it was like an old school arcade shooter. They gave you a gun, but it was not a real gun, but it was pretty much it shot blanks, or it shot like a cap gun, but it felt like a real gun. And they would just go around the entire room, and like a guy would stand up with a cell phone or a gun, and you had to make that choice if you were going to shoot or not. And at the very, very end, two people jump out, and one's an Asian guy and one's a black guy. And the black guy always has the cell phone in his hand, and the Asian guy always has the gun in his hand. And they went through 100 people, black, white, everything, and every single person shot that black guy. Every single person.
Well, that's not nice.
Yeah,
that's not very nice.
But it wasn't like realistically, it's that subconscious thing that you're taught with the media or this, that you're like, that's your prejudice kicking in, and you're not even aware you have it. You know what I mean? And then they did the whole thing where they completely erased race from it, where they took like a really, really old guy, and they said, go in these 3 rooms. It was a guy with a bunch of tattoos. It was a really, really obese guy, and it was a really old guy. Go in the room and completely examine this person, and when you come out, we're going to ask you questions about them. And depending on who they were, like, some people would walk in the room and they would only get within a centimeter of them, or they would get 5 feet from them. They wouldn't get anything past 2 feet from them. And they were judging the people about how close they would actually get to the subject. and you would be like a lot of older people were more prejudiced to other old people. Other obese people were more prejudiced to other obese people, and people who didn't have the tattoos would not get anywhere close to the guy with the tattoos. Where if people had tattoos, they walked right up to them and they were looking at them and examining them and stuff. So it was like really, so being prejudiced doesn't always go to a race thing either. It could just be like a physical appearance, like somebody with tattoos or being weight.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's a really cool thing. You should definitely check it out. I'll check out Bo Jackman. You check out 100 People. I think it's a really cool social experiment they did. But yeah, so with the album, what would you say is your favorite song on it?
That's real tough. I'm super partial to Super 8 Toledo, Ohio, just because like I remember exactly when I wrote that song.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that back in 2018 when I was on tour in literally like in a hotel room after playing, I think I was playing Michigan, and it was like the worst show ever. And I was just like, I'm like, this sucked. I'm like, this, like, I can't, like, and it was like, the tour was like a great tour, but like for some reason,
was this a Condition
like
Oakland tour?
No, this was just me.
Oh, solo.
Like I went 10 days, threw my guitar and all my stuff in my car, and went 10 days out to Illinois and back.
Oh, wow.
And I played Michigan, and the guy throwing the show just had no clue what he was doing. Like, I didn't even know who it was. Like, they put 3 touring bands on and like 1 local, and we're like, all right, cool. So this is going to draw people. And basically, like, everybody crapped on me because I was just the guy with the acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you're not as good as us because we're from New York City. But so as soon as I got them playing, threw my crap in my car, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to drive 3 hours, whatever it was, to Toledo, Ohio. And because I don't want to stay in this goddamn state for another minute. So I went to Toledo, Ohio, and I stayed at the first hotel I saw, which was the Super 8. And I just went in my room and brought all my crap in there. And I think I just kind of sat there for like a minute, and I watched Teen Titans of all damn things, which is actually mentioned in the song. And then I kind of just grabbed my guitar, and it was already like 10 at night. So I grabbed my little guitar because I didn't want to grab the big resonator. And I'm just like, started writing the song. And I think by that Friday, I was like playing in Rochester, New York, or it might have been Saturday actually, but the song was like done. So I'm just like, I'm going to play this at the show. And it was like, I hit. So I just kept playing it. And now it's on the record. So it's like I always like little stories behind songs like that.
So there's a
like,
lot of your songs
I know
here
exactly when I wrote that.
Is there a lot of songs on this record that are like, how you're saying new and old, but songs that were never put on albums before?
Well, a lot of these songs have not been put on albums before. Now,
how many
Love
solo
Me
albums?
on the Libtards, actually, that was.
How many solo albums do you have out? How many solo projects do you have out?
I think this is number 8, 7 or 8. This is full length album wise.
Where's the
Love Me on the Libtard is actually.
Are the rest of them on
That
Bandcamp?
was on a compilation before. Yeah, everything's on Bandcamp.
Okay, so this is your only solo album on Spotify.
For now, yes, I'm diligently working at getting more on there. It's
good to know.
My distributor is like, my distributor's being real weird about it. They're like, oh well, you don't have the exact title on the record here that says on the Spotify, and I'm like, are you talking about the 100% more drums thing? Because that's not the title of the record.
Yeah.
That's just a joke. Like, they don't get that. But yeah, that I would say Super 8 might be my favorite song on this. I'm real partial to I Believe I Can Die, just because I also remember exactly when I wrote that song. That's actually the newest song on this record that I wrote. I think I actually wrote that song. I came up with the title because I was like, this will be a cool name for a record. And then I was kind of have a little bout of depression, like, as I recorded everything. When I was coming home from, I don't remember what, it might have been band practice or something. And I was kind of having a little bit of like a depressive episode. And I just kind of sat in my car for about like a half an hour. And then I'm just like kind of jotting song lyrics down. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go in and try to write this.
Yeah.
So
well, here's what we'll do. We'll do Super 8 Toledo as the intro, and we'll do I Believe I Can Die as the outro. Sound good?
okay. I mean, if you hear the songs, you might want to switch them around just because I think Believe I Can Die is more of an opener.
Okay.
And Super 8 is more of an ending.
All right, we'll do that then. We'll do new than old.
Right.
I like it. I'll flip them around. So, with the album, are you looking to do anything else? Like, I see your traditional art is on the cover there, the burning bridge.
Yes.
Is there a little significance to that?
That actually, believe it or not, that was actually going to be the cover art for the Charles Manson Dance Academy record. But we had decided on going in a different direction. And when I recorded this record and I came up with the title, there's actually a lyric in one of my songs, in actually Xenophobia Warrior Princess, where I say I've burnt more bridges than I've ever crossed.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of was like, you know what? I think this would be a really good fit for this record. But I originally was going to go with a picture of a GameStop with the sign on it that, you know, the governor ordered them to close. That was originally going to be the cover of the record, but then I decided on using this because I'm like, this is too good not to use for something.
Mm-hmm.
So the inside, we actually changed the inside to that picture, and it worked out very well.
Now, when you buy, and sorry to cut you off, if you buy an album from Bandcamp, do they send you a physical copy of it, or is it just digital only?
It's digital only. A lot of people on Bandcamp will actually have little stores on there with the physical copies that you can actually
I gotta
buy
get on
too.
Bandcamp. I've never gone on there. I'm gonna be honest.
It's pretty cool. It's really cool. I know Tyler has a lot of stuff on sale there. I actually have a vinyl release coming up through Martial Law, which is cool because that's the first vinyl release I've ever done.
Oh, cool. I own a bunch of vinyl, and I don't have a vinyl player.
I don't either. I'm putting out a record, so. But I'm looking.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. My phone. I open up Bandcamp and I start playing stuff.
I can't hear. I don't hear any of that. It's weird.
Oh, okay. It didn't go through because I had it. All right. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know if it went through or not. We'll figure it out. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I need to get a record player because my favorite band, No Effects, actually just put out. They had a song that they put out in the 90s called Decline,
mm-hmm.
which is like a 15-minute long song. They just put out a new version of it with a full orchestra in the background, and like I heard it, and I'm like, it's the first time I'm telling this to anybody. It brought me to tears near the end. I was like, wow.
Oh wow!
It's like you hear that when you're 16, and you're like, wow, this is so cool. And then you hear it when you're 33, and you're like, oh my god. It's like I've been waiting for this my entire life, and I didn't realize it. I didn't know I needed it until now.
I actually had one of our first beers we did on Bangin' Beers was a No Effects beer.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're really cool. They're very. I know a lot of people shit on them, but like, I think it's really cool how much stuff they put out, especially Fat Mike. You know, like he basically like runs the record label. Or
mm-hmm.
his ex-wife runs it. I can't remember. I'm not keeping track. And it's cool because it's like they put out so much stuff. Like they put out like, you know, the Backstage Passport, which is like that little series they put like a documentary at their tour, and then they put out the beer, and then they put out the book, and then they put out records, and they had their 7-inch of the month club, which is something they did. Well, I think that's really like, I'm very envious of them being that productive. Like I wish I could be that. I had time to be that productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm on Bandcamp now. You do have a lot of albums out here.
Yeah, a lot of it. There's a lot of, you know, my solo like full length records, and there's a lot of actually I have the score from like the first 2 seasons of Crust Tunes on there too, which is that's a cool listen to. Getting messages about other podcasts right now. Oops. Anyways, but yeah, there's that. I think I put out the F and Nobody's album on there too, which is like, that's a cool little gem. And then there's all the EPs there. A lot of the EPs, I think I don't, this is something I wanted to do, or maybe I did it already and I don't remember. I had wanted to put out a compilation of all the songs for my EPs. And that's something I want to put out in the near future, because I think it's cool, because it's like a lot of those I released years before, and it's like I only did limited runs on them. So it was like people were like, oh, hey, can I get So Long and Thanks for All the Booze? And then I'm like, dude, I ran out like the second tour.
Yeah.
Because I remember I put that out. It was like I went on tour in March the one year, and I got like a full run of them, and I was out by the end. And it was really cool, because it was like, that was another case where it was like I didn't record anything for months, because like I had intentions of starting another band, and then the band kind of shit the bed, and I was like, well, I got a couple songs and I'm not really using, might as well just put them out on a full length, on a little EP here. And then, you know, the next day it was like, oh, cool. So Ted put out a new record and brought it on tour. It's kind of the same thing with Martial Law. It's like I kind of didn't have anything, and then all of a sudden it's March and I got a full-length record on my hands, and everyone's excited for it. It's really cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's something I definitely want to do in the near future. I know the last time I was like, I did like a full-length record or an EP, it's been a little while. I actually am planning on doing a tape release with a couple songs that I have that were going to go on Martial Law, but they weren't exactly finished. So that's something I'm trying to put out maybe in the fall. But it's all pretty exciting.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at this this Bandcamp. Hold on, I'm following 3 people now at Bandcamp. I'm following you, I'm following Mahantango, and I'm following Churches and Trains. So they have a thing on here now. So if I want to buy Martial Law, your minimum price is $7, but you can go 7 or more. Like, you name your price and what people want to pay for it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
that's pretty cool.
If you really like somebody's record and you're like, oh man, this guy needs more than $7, you can give him $10.
Yeah. That's a cool feature.
I used to only do $3, but then I kind of saw the suggested thing was 7, and I'm like, well, maybe I better keep it at 7.
Can you listen to the full song, or do you have to pay the $1 to listen to the full song?
No, you can listen to the full song.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like Spotify, where you can go on there and listen to it for free, but they give the option to pay for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like this a lot. I think I am a new fan of Bandcamp. This is awesome. I wish Spotify did that, where it kind of like let you support people like that. That's awesome.
I forget. I think it was, and I'll name drop them because, you know, I love them to death. Beer and Pretzels actually turned me on to Bandcamp, and I think a lot of people, because they were very much like pioneers in a lot of like DIY stuff in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they use the Kunaki record thing, which is something I used to, and they use they use Bandcamp, but I think it was actually, they're like, yeah, you can check it out on the website, beerpretzels.com. And I like went to it, and I'm like, this guy's just your music. And they're like, yeah, it's our Bandcamp page. I'm like, your band what? And then they kind of explained to me what Bandcamp was. And I'm like, wow, well, that sounds interesting. So I started the Bandcamp, and next thing you know, 10 years later, I got like 20 something records on there.
Yeah, that's real. I like this feature a lot. I've always heard people say it, but I never looked at what it was. I like that. I think that's a cool ass idea.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like, especially it's cool because it's like now I have like all my music in like one place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody can see. And sometimes I'll like to just like sit there and be like, I'm like, let's take a trip down memory lane and let's listen to like Home Sweet Home.
Yeah.
And then I'll listen to it and I'll be like, wow, that was a terrible record. Why did I put that out?
But it's all about that.
But it's cool
that growth and development.
Hmm?
It's all about that growth and development. Like, you can listen to your first album and see how much you've come since then.
Yeah, it's like I was listening to one of my first records. I put out Slander in 2010, and I'm like, it would be cool, do a 10-year anniversary. Let's put this record out again. Like, let's do a remaster of it. And then I listened to one song on it, and I'm just like, no. I'm like, this should never see the light of day again.
I'm actually, now that I know about this app, after we get off here, I'm going to do a whole live thing. I'm going to go live, I think, on Interviews with Everyday People, and I'm going to make a post that I'm going to encourage people to drop your Bandcamp links or tell people exactly what Bandcamp is, because I think it's a really good thing that people should know about. I think it's a good way to support local music that maybe are not on Spotify or somewhere for if someone is a local musician and they want to put their music out there, that they should look at a Bandcamp instead of looking to put their stuff on Spotify right off the bat.
Yeah, it's really helpful. You should also check out Tyler's Guts Crew Records Bandcamp. There's a lot of stuff on there, like a lot of like really rare things. Especially Tyler's solo project, Tyler Cult, which is basically just him in the kitchen putting beats together and screaming random nonsense into an iPad.
And what's that one called?
I can't make this up. Tyler, well, just Google Guts Crew Records Bandcamp, and when you go on there, first thing you see that says Tyler Cult, check it out, because man, I'll tell you, it's an afternoon.
I'm sorry, real quick. What was the band called again?
On the Tyler Cult.
All one word or space?
Space.
Rocket Mullet.
It's. Hold on.
Rocket Mullet by Tyler Cult.
That might be it. I don't know if he put out something new.
Yeah, Gus Crew Records from Ashland, Pennsylvania.
No, Guts. Like
Guts.
Oh yeah, that's
Guts.
probably it.
Yeah, Guts Crew Records. Is Condition Oakland on here as well?
I think we got some stuff on there. I know if you go onto the Guts Crew record page, the first thing that's up, it says Guts Crew and Friends Summer 2019.
Okay.
Which shows how much he's been updating this.
This is, dude. I've found this whole new life. This is awesome.
Yeah, I do have records on there. Grump Up the Volume actually was put out, but Tyler Colt has a record called I Love EmoBangs.com. I Heart Emo Bangs. And hold on, this is a very interesting episode.
Yeah, I'm just happy that I just found a whole new universe here. This is awesome.
I think you can click that, or is that just a picture?
It's just a picture.
That's just a picture. What the hell? I don't know how to use technology. I'm sorry. I know how to animate, but I don't know how to use technology.
Well, here's I'm looking right here at that album.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just.
The first album is Mike Pence Mutant Registration Act.
Yes, that's it. That's it. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, this is just the most. If you think my song titles are good,
there's 45. There's 45 things on this album, and some of them are 13 seconds. Some of them.
Yes.
All right.
But they're all bangers. All of them. My personal favorite on this record is actually Debbie. Like, I remember me and Katie we listened to the first two Tyler Cult records one night coming home from Walmart, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. And then like he put out the third one, and she's like, oh my god, we have to listen to it. But it's great.
This is awesome.
It's like a whole different side of him. That's like you see the Condition Oakland side, and you're like, wow, this guy's got some stuff going on. And then you see the Tyler Cult side, and you're like, this guy's got some stuff going on.
All right, yeah. So, is there anything else about the album you want to talk about before we get out of here?
I think that's about it. Just, everyone make sure you check it out on Spotify, Ted Hazard, Martial Law.
And then go over to Bandcamp and throw them a couple bucks.
Yeah, go to Bandcamp and throw me a couple bucks. I think you can get all my records for only $20 on Bandcamp. So if you got, whatever amount of megabytes that takes up on your computer, like space on your computer, just go check that out. You'll have probably, I think it's over 200 songs.
Oh, wow.
My friend Chris Decker actually counted it out somewhere. I could actually, if I wanted to, I could probably play for 3 hours in a row if I played everything I ever wrote.
That's awesome.
If every single record, I'll record it and I'll put it out. I will probably end up only playing 2 or 3 songs off that record for the rest of my life. Like with Martial Law, it's different because it's a lot of those songs are newer, so I remember them. But in 5 years, I'll probably just be like, all right, so what song are we going to play for Martial Law? Let's see, probably either Xenophobia, Warrior Princess, or Super 8 Toledo, Ohio, because all these other songs are so complicated and they don't remember them.
Yeah.
But it goes with every record. It's like self-reconstruction. Honestly, I probably play Tin Can and 29. Those are the only songs I play off it usually. Once in a while, I'll play Fear and Loathing in Schuylkill County Part 3. Or Candlelight.
Fear and Loathing in Schuylkill County. I gotta listen to that song.
Yes, it's an actual song. It's an actual song. But Candlelight, I will only play Straight Edge Girlfriend. Or very rarely I'll play Candlelight. Very rarely I'll play Arrogance and Ignorance. And those are the first 3 songs of the record. So it's why did I write the rest of the record?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's usually what happens.
Now, what are some podcasts that you're going to be on in the future here, or something that you've done recently? We could throw those guys a plug, or throw those guys and girls a plug, so they can go check it out.
I'm going to be, probably releasing literally right now, because Noah just messaged me. I'm going to be on the Punksteria podcast, I think today. I was on with Condition Oakland on Interviews with Everyday People. That just dropped today.
Yep.
I'm doing, what is the name of his podcast? My friend Brian Walker from A Day Without Love. He's putting out a podcast. I can't remember the name of it offhand right now, but I'll be doing that on Wednesday.
Cool.
And I know Friday I'm doing a show, or doing a live stream show for Punksteria Volume 2. So that's going to be cool. It's me, it's Tyler. I don't know who else is playing yet. They're probably looking for people. So if you're, that's going to be out probably after that. So I'm not going to plug that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I will try to get this out
within
a week or two. Probably either this week or next week. I'm going to put it out earlier, just to kind of let people know that I am doing over the phone to get stuff out there. Because I'm going to be honest, our listenership. You would think with people being in the house, when people were going to work every day and listening, my listening was through the roof. And now with this whole virus, man, it's been way down. It's crazy, and it doesn't help that when people like you guys have been really good with it. You guys have been sharing your episode. I've had people on that didn't do that for me, which kind of sucks.
It happens.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I want to thank you, man, for reaching out and getting this done and getting this all worked out. Dude, you educated me on Bandcamp. This is my newest thing now. My newest obsession is going to be Bandcamp. I think that's a great fucking idea. I wish they had something like that for podcasters, where you're like, hey, you like this podcast? You can own this episode and throw them fucking $3. That would be sick. I hope.
I mean, you probably could do a Bandcamp and just have every year is a different pod. Every year is a different album. Like Interviews with Everyday People Volume 1, or. You know what I mean?
It's a good idea. I don't know if that's socially accepted on Bandcamp, though. I don't want to flood Bandcamp with my stupid podcast and ruining it for music. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm sure if I thought of it, somebody else thought of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any original ideas.
I have to look at I don't want to be that guy that will go in there and look like I'm trying to bump from the culture, but I think it's a great idea for local music.
Yeah,
I think it's a cool thing. I'm gonna
Google. See why it wouldn't be bad. But yeah, bad.
I'm gonna say something. Just Bandcamp support podcast. And they're gonna be like, no, get the fuck out of here.
Get out.
Yeah, don't.
Although you could put your podcast on Bandcamp, but it's not socially acceptable.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy who's like, who's that scumbag. Yeah, I'm not doing it unless I find out it's okay. I'm not doing it.
Going to the Bandcamp convention. Yeah, your Bandcamp's real cool. Hey guys, crap, it's Anthony. Everybody look away.
Yeah, he's the guy on Bandcamp fucking it up for the rest of us.
that could be an episode on Spare Change. They can start doing a podcast or something, and like, I don't know, the mic comes to life and it's you, and you just like start asking them questions. And they're like, why are we doing a podcast? Nobody's going to listen to it.
Yeah, that's very true. No one's going to listen to it. Right?
Yeah, somebody recorded 15 minutes of just like silence, but it sounds like little people with heads the size of like peas are talking.
I love it.
It's going to take a lot of compression, buddy. I don't know.
Oh, man, that's fantastic. Well, listen, man, thank you so much again for calling in. When you get it, like, the door's always open for you. Like I said, your third appearance, I'll have you on every week if you wanted. I enjoyed definitely having conversations with you, and keep doing what you're doing with the with the music and the cartoons. And if you ever need anything, I'm here.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Take it easy, bud.
See you later. Bye.
Not today, brain. Today is not the day. Not today, brain. Don't wanna hear all the shit you gotta say. Left this town without a care now. I hope that you are all prepared to listen to my digital despair. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than with caffeine and anxiety and a podcast that obviously ain't clean. All alone in a hotel in Ohio. Not today, brain. I got better shit to do than sit around in my car listening to